Hello, and welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. I'm Cam, and for this upload, we will be reading Exodus chapter 13. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in the month Abib. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the seventh day shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. And thou shalt shew thy son in that day, saying, This is done, because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, as he sware unto thee and to thy fathers, and shall give it thee, that thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the male shall be the Lord's. And every firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with the lamb. And if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break his neck. And all the firstborn of man among thy children shalt thou redeem. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What is this? That thou shalt say unto him, By strength of hand of the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males. But all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a token upon thine hand, and for frontlets between thine eyes. For by strength of hand the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that God let them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, Lest, peradventure, the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt. But God led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. And the children of Israel went up harnessed out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones away hence with you. And they took their journey from Succoth, and encamped in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud, to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire, to give them light, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night, from before the people. Summarizing Exodus chapter 13, God commands the Israelites through Moses to dedicate their firstborn to him. On this day in early spring, Abib, you must celebrate this event this month each year. We are celebrating the Israelites going to the land of Canaan. Verse 6, For 7 days you must eat bread without yeast. There should be no yeast bread or yeast at all within the borders of your land during this time. On the seventh day, make a feast to the Lord. In verse 8, on the seventh day, explain to your children that we are celebrating what the Lord did in Egypt. The annual festival is like a sign, a mark branded on the forehead. Always recite, With a strong hand the Lord rescued you from Egypt. Observe the decree of this festival annually. Verse 11, When God brings you to the Canaanite land, set aside the male firstborn animals and dedicate them to the Lord. You can redeem a donkey with a lamb, or break its neck if you don't want to redeem the donkey, but you must buy back every firstborn male child. When your son asks the reason for this, Tell him, with a mighty hand the Lord brought us from out of Egypt, the place of our slavery. Pharaoh refused to let them go, so the Lord killed all firstborns in Egypt. We sacrificed our firstborn to God, but always buy them back. This ceremony is as significant as a symbol being branded into the hand or forehead. This is a reminder that God's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. Verse 17, God did not lead the Israelites through Philistine territory because he thought if they are faced with battle, they may want to return to Egypt. God led them through the wilderness toward the Red Sea, like an army ready for battle. In verse 19, Moses took Joseph's bones with him. He commanded this. Joseph requested this action while he was alive for his descendants to take his bones out of the land when God came to help them. The Israelites left Succoth, encamped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went and led them during the day with a cloud pillar. He led them at night with fire. They traveled day and night, and God did not remove the pillar. Some highlights of Exodus 13. The first day of the year, according to this chapter, is in the early spring in verse 4. Chapter 13, verse 4. Second highlight, upon leaving Egypt after God killed the firstborn of every Egyptian household, God required the Israelites to celebrate this event by not eating or possessing yeast for 7 days, by having a feast on the seventh day, by dedicating the firstborn male animals to God as a sacrifice, by dedicating firstborn children to God, but buying them back, explaining the origin to the celebration to the children, and by keeping or observing this festival as a sign branded into the forehead or hand. The festival is that important. Remembering what God had to do, he asked for observance of the magnitude for the destruction. He asked the same sacrifice for the Israelites, and God took responsibility for causing the murder. He is the creator of all. He is the proper judge and the executor when needed. God commanded this event to be remembered, asked them to celebrate it with certain food, and asked the Israelites to communicate this message to the children. And it is as serious as a branding to observe this ritual. The next highlight, Moses kept Joseph's bones, and he kept Joseph's post-mortem request. The next highlight, God led the Israelites with a physical manifestation, special cloud by day and fire by night. The next highlight, God led the Israelites in a way that was a longer route because the shorter way was likely to be faced with opposition. God thought that if they had to face battle, they'd want to go back to Egypt, so he led them through the wilderness. He thought that if faced with a small amount of opposition, that they would want to go back to Egypt, where they were enslaved because of their large number. They'd want to go back to Egypt, where they couldn't even leave for 3 days. He thought they'd want to go back to Egypt, where in chapter 1, verse 14, the Egyptians made their lives bitter with bondage. They served with rigor, and all of their service was with rigor. God thought one battle might discourage the Israelites, so he guided them through a route where opposition was less likely, and this would take more time. Thank you for watching this video up until this point. The next upload will be Exodus chapter 14.